And we'll not delve too deeply into that because, again, Emery is going to cover that at some length this afternoon, the right-of-way legislation. What we want to talk about right now is what we're pretty certain is going to happen. I've been telling you all this for the best part of 2 years now. Started with the meeting we had with Commissioner Ron Stiver of the BMV, looking at discrepancies in motorcycles. What really is this? What do we need to clean up? What doesn't make sense? There's some things in licensing that we're going to address this session. Some of them are just technical corrections, changing some words around. Some are actually in BMV rules, which is policies that are controlled by BMV administration. Some are statutory, which means they're a state law. They're in Indiana code, which means the only way to change them is to go before the General Assembly, the Senate and the House, and actually have legislation. You know, they talk about it. They have to vote on it. It has to clear one house, go to the other. It's the whole process. Does anybody know what a moped is? I mean, do you really? Because I don't know that anybody really does. Indiana code law doesn't really reference moped much. There's very little reference to it. There's a description of a motorized bicycle. You know, when you get on the interstate, it says, no motorized bicycle. What the hell's a motorized bicycle? Nobody really knows. Most of Indiana's code regarding definition of motorcycle and motorized bicycle goes back to the 70s. But a lot of things have changed since then. And if you remember when some of us were younger in the early 70s, they had Pugh, P-U-G-H or P-U-C-H, the Italian company made those little mopeds. They had pedals on them. You know, you pedal them to get them started and flywheel magneto kicked in and went. But you had to pedal to start. It was a moped. Everybody get that? Everybody get that? That was a moped. There really aren't any of those anymore. Indiana's definition, motorized bicycle, was more geared towards that. What we have now is this whole proliferation of small scooters. And scooter in Indiana code really just references a type of motorcycle or a type of motorized bicycle. All it is a chassis design. It's a step-through chassis with a seat that you sit on rather than a saddle that you straddle or sit astride. But it can be either a motorcycle or a motorized bicycle and look like a scooter, like the Vespas. 49 cc's, any of you that are a mechanic, what does that really mean? I mean, can you make a 49 cc unit go 60 miles an hour? Probably. A little tweaking, you can do that. So cc, cubic centimeters of displacement, doesn't mean a heck of a lot in the definition. It's antiquated, it needs to be updated. We're probably going to see that. The speed is probably the real determining factor. But right now, there's so much stuff out there. You can't see this very well, but you've seen the Can-Am Spider, 2 wheels in front, 1 in back. I mean, it's kind of a motorcycle, but it's different. The dynamics and the handling characteristics are far different than a single-track vehicle or even a trike in the conventional configuration. The Piaggio MP3, little scooter, 2 wheels in front, but they're only about 16 inches apart. It is a hot little setup, and it leans. It corners, it leans, and it tracks like a mother. I'm telling you, it's a pretty cool unit. If you've got... if you're assertive enough in your masculinity not to be scared to be seen on a scooter, it's a pretty cool scooter, I'm telling you. But it's about $8,000 too. With commuters as they are now though, and gas prices up around $4 before they drop down, they'll probably go back up again. We don't know what's going to happen with all this stuff, but there's just so much crap out there. Pocket bikes. They've got these with 2-stroke gas motors, they've got them with 4-stroke gas motors, and they've got electric ones. These are never were intended to be on the street, but they get out there once in a while. There's a bunch of stuff that's sort of fallen between the cracks. And we're not pointing the finger at law enforcement because they don't know or really need to know right now what they've got to chase because it's just such a... I don't mean to say it's gray because it's not gray, but it's tough to interpret. A friend of ours that is a scooter dealer has made sort of a niche for himself in the scooter market. Has a Korean line of scooters, very respectable, good value, Kimco. And we went to his showroom and he said, see those 2 bikes sitting right there? Kimco scooters, side by side. I said, yeah. What about it? Well, the one on the left is a 49cc moped. The one on the right is a 200cc motorcycle. Guarantee, I don't care how proficient you are as a mechanic or a motorcyclist, until you went up and took the seat and the cowling off and looked at the power plant, you would not be able to tell the difference. They were identical. One's a moped by Indiana law, the other is a motorcycle. So a lot of this needs cleaned up and it's going to be a little awkward. Some legislators are concerned about the liquor sickles that are out there because that's worth a lot of money to the economies of some local communities. Some counties really depend on that. I don't think that many people, there are a few legislators that may, but most people don't really want to take away that opportunity for those folks to commute right now. So that's why we're looking at something that's sort of a compromise with regards to registration of these units. A definition of what they are, what should be on the street and what should not, and registering them, which is also going to require insurance, but not looking at licensure of the operator at this point. That's probably going to be the biggest issue we address at the General Assembly this session.
And not to confuse or muddy the waters, we aren't going to take care of 100% of the problem out there, because if we get 98% or 95%, we're going to be successful. Does anyone know what a Hannigan is? And it's not a position or anything. Very good laughter. I like that. I was going down 37, riding down one afternoon, and one of these things is flying north. It's a quad. Looks like a gull wing. That got my attention. I got to checking around, and the guy that owned it lived about 18 miles from my house. AJ Cycle in Jasper is a Hannigan dealer. Two-wheeled bike, originated as a gull wing. Put a trike conversion on it. 6 bolts later, 2 wheels are on the front end of it, and it's a quad. What do you classify that as? It's open air, it's got handlebars, it's got a seat, but it's got four tires. There's not very many of them out there, but it could muddy the waters. 50 grand. Not going to be very many of them out there.
Conversely, you have these little Chinese units that sort of resemble a Cushman. Have doors, a windshield, a cab, heat, air conditioning, a steering wheel, but they have 3 wheels. What are they? Indiana code right now has them as a motorcycle. Razor Ford in Lafayette, Indiana, selling those little things now. And the Asian markets have recognized that in order to get around FMVSS, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, for an automobile, motorcycles don't have to meet those same standards. So if they put 3 wheels on it instead of 4 and ship it over here, it only has to meet the standards for a motorcycle. So there's a lot of issues out there that we have to address. And